Silence is usually all around us, or at least it was. Prominent Japanese author Junichiro Tanizaki goes as far as to argue that stillness and emptiness, silence and shadow, and the way they play off of and overcome loudness is what gives the Japanese homes soul, as opposed to the Western world's crude modernity. Silence, then, in its presence, has been swiftly and barbarically wiped away from today's world, giving modern spaces free rein to do as they please. Well, in that case, if we think we could fix this, how do we define the weight of silence? And actually, better question, how much silence can you fit inside a house?
Sound is a natural place to start. Most people would probably define silence as relative to vibration, something that exists when nothing can be heard, or zero on the scale of sound. Unfortunately, this definition, simply as it is, doesn't hold up too well in the real world. No living human could ever experience true silence in that case, as the simple act of living creates vibrations that are felt at every moment. Your heart beats, your blood circulates, and your joints grind.
This tells us that silence and sound are not opposites. They are two sides of the same coin. Silence cannot exist as a concept without vibration. It is a relationship. When we say a house is silent, we don't mean the vibrations have stopped. We mean they have shifted. Silence isn't inherently defined by the level or frequency of sound. It is the quality rather than the quantity. Even when a room is quiet enough that our ears stop picking up the noise, our bodies are still participating in the vibration of space. Think of the way you can feel heaviness of a quiet room or the pressure of a still hallway. Your skin and your chest pick up the low-frequency hum of the building that your ears aren't tuned to hear. In this sense, filling a house with silence isn't about emptying it. It is about reaching a state where the vibrations of a house and the vibration of your body sync up. You stop hearing the house and start feeling it.
Through considering all that, presence, weight, and space, it might be worth considering silence as more of a physical substance or even a building material. If the house is what we take as a physical boundary where silence exists, then even within it, silence does not fill every room equally. It can be, in the physical sense, wildly altered by a variety of factors, ranging from real-world boundaries, materials, and furniture and surroundings.
Therefore, the gravity of silence changes in accordance with the space. In a small, wall-sitting study or in the cell of a monk, silence can possess a heavy, pressurized quality. It can feel thick, protective, intense, or private. Often, the slightest intrusion is enough to shatter the equilibrium. To flip this on its head, in an open forest, nature can produce 1,000 sounds that can go unnoticed and create an atmosphere of silence. Therefore, silence is shaped by the space, and together they work to influence how we perceive our environment. In the openness of the landscape, sound dissipates. However, in the closeness of the room, sound is reflected. Peter Zumthor also thinks about the same lines in his writings. To inhabit a space is to feel silence as a physical presence, achieved through the density and gravity of stone, concrete, wood.
Every architectural intervention shifts a place's silence. Designing a building is not just about adding mass, but also working with the void, the negative space. By framing a courtyard or a room, we allow the interior to be open to the environment, allowing the ambient, unintentional sounds of the environment to penetrate the space. Architecture does more than just house us, it gives weight to the quiet.
We've gone on long enough about space and vibration and physics. Let's get a bit more personal, literally. Experience, individuality, connection, humanity, however you want to call it, the personal perspective is perhaps the most foundational to each of our ideas of silence. Yet it's also the most fickle. It can change on a moment's notice and is almost undefinable. Which brings me to the location of our video. We are at Museo d'Arte Orientale, visiting the exhibition of famed Japanese artist Chiharu Shiota, who turns out to have some interesting insights into the nature of both our silence and our built environment. The connective aspect of silence and space is visualized through her work in a variety of novel and creative ways, giving physicality to the emptiness, left while showing its porosity within the threads. For her, after skin and clothes, rooms and buildings are our third skin. They define us and who we are. The empty space in a room, often left behind and neglected, the space often filled by silence, is a major focus of many of Shiota's installations, bringing attention to what is neglected in space, the things that we want to turn away from. Her artwork, In Silence, depicts a burned down house, one she lived next to when she was little. What was once vibrant and active is now replaced with a visualization of silence left behind in the ashes. Chairs that will never host a dinner, and a piano that has played its last song forever. Silence here is the absence of connection, and a reminder of bygone sounds no longer there.
All that is to say, the personal relativity is not just related to silence, it is foundational to our understanding of it. And any realistic answer to our question will have to account for this dependency. In that vein of perspective and dependency, we also have to look at the societal norms and enforcement, because silence isn't just defined by the individual, it is defined by the collective. There's an unspoken understanding and the social context, sure, but the real social fabric of silence is actually created by the clash between our individualities. Right now, we are living through a collective fear of silence. You can see it in our personal lives, through our social media, and shrinking attention spans, but you also see it in architecture, this total ignorance of silence in favor of monumentality and modernism, likely driven by the post-capitalist landscape we're in. When a society values loudness, instant engagement, and fast payouts over substance and solidarity, you're bound to get reactionary cities that completely ignore human need for quiet.
Current-day Japanese apartment buildings are an exact result of these values, a cautionary tale for city builders worldwide. The construction is sped up, generic and cheap. The walls are paper thin, providing almost no volume of silence, either in terms of actual space or the ability to block the world out. If you were to try and measure it, the average Tokyo worker's apartment has almost zero capacity for silence.
We can trace this back to the 90s economic fallout. While Japan already had a harsher work culture than others, it was only further expedited in trying to recover their past economic glory. Thus, the pace of life of the average Japanese worker got further distorted. When people are sleeping at their desk more than in their own house, the home stops being a personal space and starts becoming just an occasional checkpoint. People then try to reclaim that privacy however they can, whether that is through rigid social norms like staying silent on trains, or by literally being forced to rent personal space at internet cafes or love hotels.
That societal pressure reflects directly on the architecture. Silence has been turned into a commodity. It is something you have to reach by buying expensive noise-canceling headphones, or by being wealthy enough to buy a house and a car far away from everyone else. Ultimately, how architects treat silence is a direct reflection of the quality of a life a society is actually providing for its people.
And that's cool and all, but I think it's about time we ask the one question that really matters. What is silence? Big words are great and all, but ultimately, nothing quite does it like the real thing.